Welcome everybody, and today we're taking a look at the second film in the Into the Forest fairy tale Folktales at DEFA box set from Eureka. And the second film is 1957's The Singing Ringing Tree. So this is directed by Francesco Stefani, who I've not seen anything else from before, and that's no real surprise when you consider he only did one other film before this and nothing subsequently. And yeah, this is a fantasy film again, clocks in at 75 minutes long. Not sure why they said 72 on the back of the box, but definitely says 75 on the when you play the film. And I've not seen any of the cast in anything before, unlike with the previous film, where I'd at least seen stuff with Werner Peters before. So a brave prince must seek the fabled singing ringing tree in order to win the heart of a beautiful princess. So unlike the prior film in this box set, this is fully within the realm of fantasy, as there are spells, mythical creatures, curses, and the idea that love can conquer evil in a manner that maybe think this is what Shrek would have been like had it been made without the aid of digital animation. As the princess herself subsequently becomes uglier due to the fact that she's being mean to the animals, she's being mean to other people, and she ends up having her hair turned to moss. She ends up getting a nose that spikes upwards, ends up losing colour in her face and such like that. So kind of reminds me of that, especially since also the prince gets turned into a bear after being tricked by a malevolent little person. Yeah, it's kind of reminds me of that in a lot of ways. But despite that, it does have limits to its production, which are clearly evident by the matte paintings and the fact that it's got very small sets and also a very limited cast as well. And on top of that, you've also got a miniature work that is showing off these great landscapes, which are obviously not there because it is pretty much all on a soundstage. But that is still nonetheless really rather charming, especially in terms of how it is executed. There are also, like I said, mythical creatures in this. So you've got a giant fish that is swimming around, which is obviously a puppet, but it's charming enough in that regard. And then there's a horse that has a couple of antlers on it. I'm not sure if they're trying to make that look like a unicorn or some mythical creature I've never heard of, but it is obvious how they've done it. But it is all charming regardless of that. The cast is also good. It is also generally engaging. The colour palette is also once again great. There is a solid amount of weirdness to it, especially with the giant fish, for instance, and it is well shot. Just a shame, though, that the plot is incredibly basic to the point of lacking in the way of surprises at some of the weird flourishes. And for a film as short as this, the pacing could definitely be tighter. There are certain scenes here that feel like they've just been extended for the sake of it, because they didn't feel like they had enough of a story here to fill a full running time. So, yeah, the pacing could definitely be tighter, but on the whole, a really rather solid effort. And again, another 3.5 out of 5 on this release. So, second one in a row of that, sharing the same disc with The Devil from Mill Mountain, which was the previous release in this box set. And just like that film, it's got new artwork by Carly AF. Again, another 1080p presentation of the film from a restoration by the DEFA Foundation. I don't think this quite looks quite as good as the restoration for the previous film. I'm not sure why, it just didn't quite hit home quite as hard. Even though the colour palette is there and it's doing a lot of legwork, it didn't feel as good of a restoration. You do also have a optional English soundtrack for this release, but I didn't bother with that because it feels a bit unauthentic to go for a English soundtrack when obviously this is an East German film. And yeah, it's fully embedded in kind of like those East German folk tales. But we do have optional English subtitles that have been newly translated for this release. And yeah, I don't. Yeah, we also have Fairy Tales and Nightmares, a new interview with writer, broadcaster, and 14 times columnist Bob Fisher on the history of the singing ringing tree. And yeah, but that's the only real specific extra on this disc to that film. So a little bit less in terms of extras than the last film, but it maintains the overall quality of that prior effort. And yeah, overall this box set is looking like a fairly solid one so far. So yeah, but the next film we'll be looking at is Rumpelstiltskin. So I'm looking forward to this one because it is one that I am more familiar with than the previous two in this box set. So yeah, looking forward to that one. But nonetheless, if you have seen the singing ringing tree before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.